Paltrocast.
Hey, Brent, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We're off the record. We'll keep this like 15, 20 minutes. If there's anything you don't like, we can edit it out. Cool?
Yeah, very cool.
Okay, well, thank you for taking the time. I'm excited to be coming to your great city for the second time in September, rooting it around the Harvest Music Festival. Now, we the fans learned only a couple of weeks ago about the lineup. How long did you have to keep that a secret for?
Well, I mean, it's a process that starts now more than a year in advance. So I think I had my first offers for 2020, September 2023. The first one went out in May 2022. So now, not all those offers were accepted, but it's a process that now has become a thread or an arc, that has many ups and downs along the way, and truthfully was just being kind of finished 2 to 3 weeks. It was finally finished 2 to 3 weeks before announced. So it's a bit of a beast for sure, but sitting on some of those big acts that you have had booked for a little while or are coming is always, you'd love to be able to share it, that's for sure.
Right, and it's another great lineup this year, without naming names, but over to you and what you do and the city and all that. When it comes to a music festival, if you said that term in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you kind of knew what a music festival is. And these days, Coachella has nothing to do with South by Southwest, has nothing to do with CMJ or what's left of that in New York, has nothing to do, in my opinion, with what you bring to the table with Harvest. So how would you describe Harvest to somebody who goes, music festival, what's that like there in Fredericton?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, even my kids go to a big Canadian festival, Osheaga in Montreal, and I'm obviously friends and colleagues with the people who produce the Montreal Jazz. I know those cats, but I was thinking Ottawa Blues Festival and Festival d'été, Summerfest in Quebec City, two of the biggest in North America. And ours is I like to think of it as old school. I'm a music lover, a live music lover from way back. Where do we all start? We started watching music in bars, and the intimacy and the kind of connection that you felt with those musicians in a room full of 150 to 200 people when the magic was there. That's what you're trying to create here. That's what I'm trying to create at Harvest is an intimacy and a connection between the audience and the performer that maybe is a little old school compared to what some of these larger music festival experiences are like today. And so it's really kind of curated for the deep music lover. The best way to experience it is there are multiple shows in multiple venues in an evening,
Mhm.
everything from a 3,500 person tent to, to seeing a great blues act or jazz act in a place that's holding 65 people. So, and everything in between. So, it's really all about curating your own. Then it becomes about curating your own experience,
Right.
understanding what the opportunities are, and and pursuing your fun that way.
Well said. And when you call it old school, to me, that's what I kind of want in the music festival, not to drag people's names through the muds, but when you see a festival announced and they go, food trucks, I'm sorry, I can't speak today, food trucks curated by blank, the comedy tent curated by, the art installations by, that's kind of everything not to do with the great talent you see on stage. So is it a conscious effort to go, this is a music centric kind of thing?
Yeah, it is, and I mean, I think that it's almost the nature of the world in which we live in. I see it in our own, I'm seeing it in our own festival environment, that we have the potential to be so much more, to help transform society, to be leaders in the way you want society to evolve, and all those kinds of things. And those are important. And
Right.
look, we're a progressive city in the middle of a
Yeah.
progressive country, and the way society is evolving, and all of that is vital to kind of who we are as a city. So what I'm getting at is that we're often need to kind of have a recentering of, we exist to present music. And all those other things are the wonderful kind of offshoots and ways in which that we can influence things. But we got to get that music right. We got to get
Yeah.
our we got to lead with our heart from a musical perspective that's diverse, but first and foremost, we got to give the audience what it wants. Great live shows, great connection, moving experiences, moving performances, and we have to get that right, and then it gives us the license to be other things and make other or help make other change as well.
Right. Now, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So when I went to Fredericton, probably a year before the pandemic kicked in, I was very impressed by the city in that it had everything that a large city would have. You had a population, 40, 50,000 people. When you go, well, there's the two colleges and there's the theater booking world-class entertainment, this music festival that's coming up, there's the restaurants, there's the shopping mall, there's the 10 breweries, the walking trail, etc. So when I say I think I know the answer to this, I say, Brent, what is it that keeps you in Fredericton as an entertainment professional? Because let's face it, in the olden days, it'd be like you have to move to LA, New York, Toronto, Chicago to make it in entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm inspired by and really appreciate the role that I've played in helping build something very special for the city, and something that the people of the city have taken into their hearts. I think that we've built this thing from nothing to what it is today, and I'm still energized by the opportunity to take it even higher. I mean, I'm energized right now by trying to do that in the middle of some titanic forces acting on festivals and the music industry. We could call it inflation, we could call it greed, we could call it, but certainly post-pandemic, I didn't anticipate the industry really going through this period of intense inflation and intense desire to maximize fees and really get more money from both festival presenters and from the audience. I think we're seeing it with ticket prices as well. There's a few shows around us here now that have ticket prices in the $300 to $600 per seat range.
Right.
You can come to our festival for the weekend for 300, a little 300 plus, and see 40 or 50 bands. So again, it's kind of like, as I say, I'm energized by, we want to thrive and build on who we've been in the middle of that, and that's really energizing. Yeah.
And when I look at the roster that you usually put together for the festival, sometimes you find that US artists are not huge in Canada that are huge in the States and vice versa. But it's interesting to see how many artists you've had over the years that play Madison Square Garden type venues. And then here they are playing in a 10 to 3,000 people. One of those examples being War on Drugs, legitimately headline Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Trey Anastasio, who's played multiple times, obviously can, with Fish, sell out the Garden 12, 13 times in a 2-3 week period. So it's very admirable that you and the city actually shell out to get top tier artists and put that extra effort in to not just put 6 artists from the States and everyone else from Fredericton.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been part of our goals to really represent and give, well, it represents not the right word, I think, to give people in this community an opportunity to see bands. I call it that they would normally have to travel for. And to get a Trey, to get a Robert Plant, to get a Sturgill Simpson, even to come to Fredericton and play. And that's really, again, you talked about the things that have meant have been goals for me or meant something to me over the last 5 to 10 years. Trying to mine that vein of talent and present it here is pretty unique because again, it's one thing if we had a 16,000 seat or 15,000 seat amphitheater or a hockey rink or something like that, but we're literally doing it in our 250-year-old downtown, and inviting everybody into the downtown and pulling it off in some pretty small venues. And I think that I just was lucky enough to see the Killers in the St. Augustine Amphitheater in St. Augustine, Florida, where 4,000 people, and was reminded again how incredible it is to see a band of that much energy and quality in a venue that small. It's pretty rare these days. And so I'm not saying small is beautiful or anything like that, but the experience and the ability to connect with the act, and for the act to connect with the audience, seems to be a little bit easier when you're dealing with those kind of smaller crowds.
Speaking of that, one of the acts that, assuming I can stay up late, because I either crash at 9 o'clock at night or I'm up till 3 a.m. That's kind of how my body works. One of the acts that I'm excited to see at your festival is Cool, who I saw a month or two ago here in New York, opening up for Jerry Harrison of the Talking Heads and then backing him afterwards. I'm curious how they wound up on your radar, because this is not yet a headlining act, but in my opinion, I would not be shocked if this band is playing to 5,000 people a night in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I was very, very lucky to become friends with an individual who was involved in some festivals in the United States, and for many years went to those festivals and obviously saw a wide breadth of acts, some of whom I've been lucky enough to bring to Fredericton and Harvest. Turquoise was an act I saw at his festival probably in 2017, and we presented Turquoise, I believe it was in 2018. And so Cool is I think it's 7 or 8 of the original members of Turquoise. And so I kind of followed that band's kind of, let's call it, breakup, and wondered what they were doing. When they played here, we really thought they were one of the tightest, coolest bands that we'd ever brought through here.
Yeah.
And I kind of kept in touch with Sammy, one of the two lead singers, via Instagram. And when I saw what they were up to, I kind of reached out and said, "Hey, would you guys love to come to Canada?" And she said, "Absolutely." Talked to our agent, and we got it done pretty quick. And again, I love that band. I love it for obviously musically, I love it, but I love it for the part of the reason you just talked about, which is they're going to come, they're going to walk onto the stage here. People are going to have no idea who
No idea.
and they're going to blow them away. And
Yeah. And if I can interrupt you, they're going to see a virtuoso lead singer, and then the next song they're going to go, "Oh wait, that's the virtuoso keyboard player who just changed instruments." And then the next thing happens, and the next thing happens. You go, "Wait, all of them play everything. All of them can sing lead, and all of them can actually perform and work the crowd."
Yeah, and I mean, and the other part of it is the music, like the musical choices, even when they're choosing covers and things like that, are exceptional, right? And that, you asked about American versus Canadian, the acts that we choose and things like that. I think, one of the things that, just kind of riffing off that previous part about, about rolling out an act that's incredible that people haven't even necessarily heard of, much less heard of. And like Kaleo this year, like people would not have heard the band, but they'll have heard the music and know the music. But cool, they will know neither the music nor the band. And for us as a Canadian festival, you couldn't necessarily do that with Canadian artists because, and what I mean by that is it's a lot more spotlight on the better Canadian artists. So it's harder to kind of go, "Oh, here's a big surprise for you," because as Canadians, we know our biggest Canadian talent, and so having access to these American bands, that we can roll out and add talent and quality to the festival and surprise is kind of vital to who we are and what we do. Paltrocast.